Am I the A for exposing my wife's affair and refusing to raise the baby she's pregnant with? Throwaway, because this whole thing is embarrassing, and I'm still processing everything. This might be a bit long, so buckle up. My wife, 31 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 6 years. We've always had a decent marriage. I thought we were happy. I thought I was enough for her. She works in marketing for a mid-sized company and has always been super social. Her job involves networking, happy hours, and work events where spouses are sometimes invited. Over the years, I've gotten to know a few of her coworkers, including Derek, 35 male. Derek is, well, he's the kind of guy who makes you feel like you need a shower after talking to him. He's one of those overly charming, too slick types. The kind who calls everyone bro or gives you a clap on the back like you're best friends, even though you've only just met. You know the type? Good looking, cocky, loud. He's the kind of guy you'd find at a bar telling women how much he bench presses. I didn't hate him, but something about him always rubbed me the wrong way. My wife insisted he was harmless, and that he was actually really smart once you get to know him. I tried not to overthink it. After all, I trusted my wife. Or, at least, I did. Things started to feel off about 8 months ago. My wife started staying late at work more often, claiming she was swamped with deadlines. She'd come home tired, sometimes smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't hers or mine. When I asked about it, she brushed me off, saying she'd been around coworkers all day. I let it slide because, again, I trusted her. But the red flags were there. She started being glued to her phone, hiding the screen whenever I walked by. She'd laugh at texts but wouldn't tell me what was so funny. And then, there were the subtle changes, new lingerie she never wore for me, and a sudden interest in working out and dressing up more for the office. About a month ago, she dropped the bombshell: she's pregnant. At first, I was thrilled. We'd talked about kids before, though we hadn't officially been trying. I hugged her, kissed her, and told her how excited I was. But, I noticed her reaction wasn't as enthusiastic as it should have been. She seemed distant. Almost like she was faking excitement. Still, I pushed those feelings aside because I wanted to believe we were building our family together. Thing quickly hit the fan. A week ago my wife had gone to another work event. Something in my gut told me to check her iPad. She'd left it logged in, and I saw a string of messages between her and Derek. I won't go into detail, but they were explicit. Let's just say they left no doubt that they were sleeping together, and had been for almost a year. They joked about sneaking around at work, and talked about the sex they'd had at hotels after happy hours. They even mentioned the baby. And here's the kicker: Derek was convinced the baby is his. He even joked about how lucky he was that I didn't suspect a thing. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just sat there, staring at the messages, while my world crumbled around me. When she got home, I confronted her. At first, she denied everything, but when I showed her the messages, she broke down. She cried, begged, and swore it was a mistake. She claimed she didn't mean for it to happen and that she still loved me. She even had the nerve to say she wasn't sure if the baby was mine or Derek's. I told her I was done. I packed a bag and left that night, crashing at my brother's place. Now, she's been blowing up my phone, begging me to come back and work things out. She swears she'll cut Derek out of her life, do therapy, and anything else I want. She claims the baby might still be mine and that I'd be a great dad no matter what. But I can't do it. I can't raise a child that might be the product of my wife's affair. I can't look at her without seeing all the lies she told me, all the times she looked me in the eye and pretended everything was fine while she was screwing Derek behind my back. My family is split on this. My brother thinks I'm right to leave, but my mom says I should consider staying for the baby. She thinks it's cruel to abandon an innocent child, even if it's not mine. I'm torn. I feel like I've lost everything: my marriage, my future, and my trust in people. So, Reddit, am I the A for refusing to raise this child and walking away from my wife after she cheated on me? Not the A. Your wife betrayed you in the worst way possible, and now she's trying to manipulate you into staying by dangling the possibility of the baby being yours. That's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the child either. You deserve better than a partner who lies, cheats, and expects you to clean up her mess. Stay strong and focus on rebuilding your life. Don't let her guilt you into something you don't want or need to do. Not the A. She made her choices, and now she's dealing with the consequences. It's not your responsibility to raise another man's child or to salvage a marriage that she destroyed. Even if the baby is yours, she's proven she can't be trusted, and co-parenting doesn't require you to stay in a toxic relationship. Go talk to a lawyer and protect yourself. You don't owe her a second chance. Everyone sucks here. Your wife is obviously the bigger jerk here for cheating and lying, but it sounds like you ignored a lot of red flags for a long time. Why didn't you confront her sooner when things started feeling off? And while I understand your anger, walking away without even considering therapy or figuring out if the baby is yours feels impulsive. If the child turns out to be yours, you'll have to deal with your wife in some capacity anyway. You both need to grow up and address this mess more maturely. Update number 1. Sorry for waiting so long to update. Thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. Things had gotten super messy, so here you go. After leaving my wife and staying at my brother's place, I decided to lawyer up. I wanted to protect myself, especially with there being the chance that the baby wasn't mine. My lawyer advised me to request a paternity test as soon as the baby was born. In the meantime, I kept my distance from my wife, though she continued blowing up my phone with apologies and promises that we could get through this. I blocked her on everything except email and told her to direct all communication through my lawyer. That didn't stop her from showing up at my brother's house one night, crying and begging me to forgive her. She claimed she'd ended things with Derek, that she loved me, and that the baby was definitely mine. I didn't buy it. But here's where things get juicy. About 2 weeks after my original post, I got a Facebook message from someone I didn't recognize. It was a woman named Lisa, Derek's fiancée. Yes, you read that right. Derek is engaged. Lisa found out about the affair after stumbling across some suspicious texts on Derek's phone. Apparently, he'd been trying to spin the situation by telling Lisa I was a jealous husband who was trying to ruin his life because my wife and him were just friends. Lisa wasn't buying it. She dug deeper and found messages between Derek and my wife that confirmed everything. Lisa was furious. She also told me she suspected this wasn't Derek's first time cheating. Honestly, the guy oozes sleaze, so I wasn't surprised. A few days after Lisa and I talked, I got a text from my wife saying she'd been fired. Turns out, word of the affair spread at her office, and HR got involved. Apparently, workplace relationships are a huge no-no at her company, especially when they involve sneaking around during work hours. Yes, they were hooking up in the office. Derek was also fired. Now my wife is unemployed and living with her parents. She sent me a long, tearful email blaming me for ruining her life by not keeping things private. She claimed that if I'd just worked things out with her quietly, none of this would have happened. As for me, I'm doing everything I can to move forward. I've started therapy to process the betrayal, and I'm leaning on my family and friends for support. Update number 2. My wife had the baby. The paternity test results came back, and, surprise surprise, Derek is the father. My lawyer is already working on ensuring I have no legal ties or responsibilities to her or the child. Derek, for his part, has completely ghosted my soon-to-be ex-wife. According to Lisa, he has dodged all attempts to contact him. Looks like her little fantasy world is crumbling around her. I know some people suggested I try to work things out for the baby's sake, but finding out the child isn't mine confirmed I made the right choice. I've dodged a massive bullet, and while it hurts to see everything disappear, I feel lighter now that I've cut ties with her. To anyone reading this, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Never let someone convince you that you're crazy for asking questions. Final update. I'm back for one last update to tie up all the loose ends. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, but I can finally say I'm in a much better place now. After my last post, things happened quickly. The divorce is final. My ex tried to stall it, claiming she needed more time to figure things out, but my lawyer wasn't having it. She pushed for alimony at one point, but since she was fired due to her own actions, the judge didn't award her anything. Derek certainly isn't stepping up to help her financially, so she's living with her parents and trying to find a new job. Speaking of Derek, he's completely out of the picture. According to Lisa, his now ex-fiancée, he's burned every bridge he had. Lisa ended things with him and has since moved on. The last I heard, he's couch surfing and trying to avoid paying child support. My ex has started a court case to get him to take responsibility for their child, but honestly, I couldn't care less about what happens between them. As for me, life's looking up. I've been focusing on myself, hitting the gym, reconnecting with old friends, and even taking up a new hobby. I'm learning how to rock climb. Therapy has been a game changer. It's helped me process everything and rebuild my confidence after the betrayal. And here's a little bit of good news. I recently went on my first date since everything happened. It's still early days, but she's smart, kind, and absolutely nothing like my ex. She knows about the situation, and she's been incredibly supportive. For the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful about the future. I want to thank everyone who commented and supported me throughout this roller coaster. Your advice and encouragement helped me stay grounded during some of the darkest moments of my life. If there's one thing I've learned from this whole mess, it's that you can't control other people's actions, but you can control how you respond to them. My ex made her choices, and I made mine. Now, I'm free to build a life that's honest, fulfilling, and true to who I am.